Okay, here's my update. I'm inside my... There I am. Get rid of my fingers. Anyway, I'm inside the shop here. I just got a bunch of parts in, and I was just going to go over that. Switch them. There we go. Okay, so what I got so far, I've got a lift pump. Goes on the frame. Got the wiring that goes inside, wiring harnesses that go inside the valve covers. Valve cover gaskets. I got the IPC. No, how do you say that? It's the IPR and ICP, a crank position sensor. And I got a water temperature and oil temperature. And I've got the glow plugs, new fuel filter, and that's about it. And this is what it's cost me so far. That one is $232, $626, and 11. It's $1163. So that looks like 17. It's almost $2,000. I'm sure I'll get $2,000 before it's all done. I still haven't got anything with the fuel bowl. I want to redo that. Hadn't got into the transmission situation yet, which, you know, mind you, there's no problem with it, but I'm trying to upgrade this truck back to a state where it's safe to take a country trip, and I don't have to worry about it. Seeing how it's got 500,000 miles, or I keep stretching that, it's 391,000 and change. I think it's time, if I want to use this truck to be real, I think it's time that I put the money into it and do this stuff. You know, it's for this same truck, I swear it's $100,000. Really it's 90 something, but that is more money than I'm willing to pay. I'm willing to pay some money to keep a nice truck, but not that kind of money. I already got a nice truck. All I gotta do is spiff it up. So here we go. Okay, I'm out here with my pickup truck out at the farm near Dallas, Texas. It's, I think, November 4th today. We just had some rain last night, and the weather has cooled down. You know, 70s was pretty nice stuff to work in, but 40s is even better, I think. Anyway, when you're doing this kind of stuff. Let me flip you around and see where we're at here. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do today is put the glow plugs in. I've just got the valve covers sitting here since I've been waiting on parts. Then we'll go from there, one piece at a time. It's gonna be fun. Well, I kinda enjoy it. I hope you do too. Okay, all you guys at the shops around got all those fancy rollaways. This is how you do it on the farm. I built this two-wheeled, I guess you'd call it a dump truck. And instead of rolling my big toolboxes out here on this gravel and stuff, which won't work, I got this little box, and everything that I've been using, I've been putting in it. So I isolated the tools that I use on this project, and when I'm done with it, I'm gonna put them all back where they belong in the big toolboxes. So that's how I'm rolling here. All right, here we go. The first glow plug going in. These are Ford glow plugs, Motorcraft. They're about $16 each, $127 about for a bunch of them. And I just gotta see the hole right down in, I'm not showing you nothing, huh? There's a hole right down there. Just gotta find it and drop this thing in there like that, and then start turning it. I'm gonna put a little piece of vacuum line on it so I can get my fingers in there to turn better. Show you what that looks like. Okay, after looking around, what I found is gonna work best is this little piece of fuel line for a trimmer or a small motor of some kind. Stick it right on that probe, and that'll let me turn it. All right, here it goes. I just pulled that one right back out of the hole because I wasn't gonna be able to stick this on there that way. But it's gonna go right down in that hole. Right about, let's see, can you see? I can't see. Right about here like that. Could have gone like this, but it actually goes like that. So there it is, and then I'm gonna take this and just, I can just twirl the rubber on my hands, and it's turning that piece apparently, or obviously I should say. Okay, so now that I've got several turns on it with the rubber hose, I've got my 10-inch extension, quarter-inch extension I should say, and I've just spun it. It's a little long-winded, it's a lot of turns, and then once it gets tight, I'm gonna have to look up the torque on it. But I just snugged it in about a quarter of a flat. Okay, so I'm set up for the second one here. Got the tubing in place. Just wanted to give you a good look at the part number there, if you need to get one. That's what I'm putting in. Like I said, about $16 a piece. And let's see, so 6 more to go. So what I've got to say about this is the reason why, and I was just thinking about it, the reason why that I'm putting this rubber hose onto the thing and threading it in with it, because you don't want to drop it in the hole and then put a wrench on it. You want to verify that the threads aren't crossing before you start putting a wrench on anything like that. So with that rubber hose, you get a good feel that it's threading in. And that's my explanation for that. Okay, continue on. Wow, I forgot to say these are clickers. When you, of course on this, when you reach your, the pressure you want, of course you just stop. On these you set the gauges here. I've got this one set for 168 inch-pounds. And you do that by turning the handle and unlocking or locking that. So I've got this one set, and what will happen is as I tighten this up, you'll feel and hear a distinctive click when you reach it and you stop and you go to the next one. So it makes it quick, easy. You don't even have to really look and see what's happening. Or this one, you have to pay a lot of attention. You got to be in position to hold a steady grip on it and pull, and sometimes that's tough when you're reaching, 100 pounds or something. Okay, I prefer the clickers, and I'm sure if I had a electronic digital one that beeped on me or something, I would like it even more. But this is what I got, this is what I use, and that is the whole story. Not the whole story. One more thing I should say is the attachments you put on your torque wrench will affect the torque. This is where the proper size extension is what we need. This one's a little too long, so I'll go get a shorter one. But the length of your extension, and if you put any universal swivels in there, it's gonna really throw it off. So you gotta be real careful with how you do it. Best if you have the socket attached right to the head. Okay, now that I've got the glow plugs in on the left side, driver's side, next thing I want to do is take the valve cover gasket off and the wiring harness. And to do that, I'm going to need to take that wiring harness off. And to get that off, this is something you got to be careful with. This is one of the things you don't want to drop in the engine, because this little piece here slides up and out right there in the center. You got to be careful not to drop that thing. I don't know if I can do this one-handed. Probably not. I'll probably end up dropping it if I do it like that. No, it came out. Okay. So that's the little keeper part. You just pop that out. And after that, this harness should unplug here. You don't want to pull any of this stuff by the wires themselves. So find something on the body. I'm actually going to put my little a hook tool or a screwdriver right there and just pop it apart. Okay, so after further review, I should say this. You pull that little keeper piece out, and then when you push this and push it up, you get it out. Okay. Next I want to do is take the wiring harness loose from the injectors. These injector fittings the wiring harness, I should say, is held to those fittings by these little clips. This one right here, you just pop that clip off, and then the wiring harness is going to come out the bottom, just like that. Do that on all of them. Just then clip them and push them down. And then once we get all those done, we can pull off the valve cover gasket. Before I do, I'm gonna clean up a little bit right there so the junk doesn't blow in there or fall. Okay, I'm just gonna clean that up a little bit. Just go all the way back with this wire brush. Knock everything loose that wants to come loose. And do the same on this side. Just gently. Don't want to knock stuff everywhere with this wire brush. Now I'm going to take a paintbrush and sweep the dirt down onto the ground. Better it on the ground than in the motor, right? Okay. Try to keep everything as clean as you can. Okay, here we go. Let's loosen this valve cover gasket up here. Pull on it in a few places. There we go. It's coming loose here. Now then I'm gonna have to put the phone down and use two hands to guide everything out. Okay, well the only trick to that is getting these little wire keepers from catching on everything and guiding that wire up around the lifters and everything, but that's how it comes out. Okay, so after inspecting these wires and everything on this wiring harness, they look fine. I'm going to keep that as my spare parts. Okay, so on the valve covers, here's the part number. Okay, on the left side that I'm working on, this is the old one. You notice it's got some little splatter guards right down here for the injectors. So that's the main tell on which way these go. The new one has those little deflectors down there going down. The other thing I've got to do is put my wiring harness onto this one. Go get it. Wiring harness part number in these boxes. See what we got in there. Oh, by golly. Looks like the parts. That's what we're looking for, all right. Okay. Put the phone down and explore it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, of course, take this foam off of there. and plug this into the valve cover, and then it's got these little keeper things here that'll clip onto here. Get that all in and we'll come back. And after plugging the harness into the valve cover, it's tight, and make sure that it fits snugly right there. There's no gap. Then these little things clip on. They got little teeth. They go right up into that little catcher right there. So these would be little male pieces going up into the female. Let me see if I can get a picture of these little teeth here. And they go into that hole. I probably can't do this and hold the camera, but I'll try. No, not gonna happen. Anyway, those teeth go into that hole. Looks like that when it's done. Let's see. There we go. I don't know how many old timers are out there, but you know, you'd be tempted to try to seal this gasket on with some kind of RTV or something, and it's unnecessary, and it would be a mess it would mess up everything, because these have really nice neoprene, soft neoprene rubber that's gonna seal really good. Don't need anything on it, and don't put anything on it. Okay, so I wiped the surface real clean on the top of the head where the valve gasket's gonna go, valve cover gasket, and now I'm just gonna slip that jewel in place. Now I got the wires are in there. Putting these wiring harnesses back onto the injectors, you know, it's a little pain in the rear, but what I'm doing is, let's see, taking one, see it's got that little wiring clip on there. I know I'm not filming this very good. This little clip, you want to make sure that it's disengaged, and this is upside down, so it needs to turn all the way around. And the way I'm doing that is actually using that little ring to put my finger in and manipulate it over into that socket. And then you just make sure that the wiring coming out is not getting in the way. Once you get that cleared up, it goes right in. Okay, so as this wiring harness is going back on, I can give you a few things that I've found out already. As you see how this wiring harness is set up, this glow plug goes on that side of the injector plug. The injector plug goes with this curve up, so it's all around like that. Now, as you can see, the wire on that wiring tie isn't going to be helpful that way. So manipulate the wires around this little wiring tie until the glow plug's on the correct side from the injector plug. That helps immensely. And then the next thing I'm going to say is that I made this little tool here. Just bent me a piece of coat hanger. There's a little hook that will go on. I'll show you on this one over here. This will hook onto the top of that glow plug. It makes it a whole lot easier to steer it and plug it in. Then the other side I made just a slightly bigger hook so that I can get on top of these with this in position to go on the wire. The bigger hook will go around it. Boy, it's hard to work with one hand. But it'll go around the top of it like that. And you can aim it and plug it in a whole lot better. And of course you can bend the coat hanger wire however it best suits you. But besides the coat hanger wire that I've bent like this, I've also used a little hook tool to help line things up. And the biggest thing of all is just patience, because it's just not one of those things you're just going to jump in and throw them all on. It's going to take a second or two. And if you got a little spoonful of, just a little spoonful of patience, your body's going to say a whole lot of thanks for that. Does that make any sense? Probably not. Anyway, you know, life is just one problem after another. And that's not a bad thing. We're always just solving problems our entire life. We're born, we got to learn how to breathe out of the womb. We got to learn how to walk and talk and all that. Everything's a problem all through life. It's just how you solve it. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. I've slid this wiring harness around to the back towards the truck, and I've got the glow plug now in the right position to the injector harness, and it's just going to make things a whole lot easier if it's wanting to go where you want it to go. Just talk to it right. All right, so we got everything plugged in, and I'll tell you what, those plugs can be a bit of a booger bear. Like I said, a lot of patience, but after I gave that big speech about patience and stuff, I had to actually get down and cuss on this thing a little bit. But I didn't run out of patience. I got it. Look at this. Okay, so didn't notice this on first inspection, but the back of that plug is missing a piece of plastic. See, that's not the way it's supposed to look. It's supposed to look it right there, huh? Okay. So that one's missing a piece of plastic. A piece of plastic was stuck up into that injector where the plug goes into. Now I tell you what, until when I saw it wasn't going like the others, I had to stop, and I came over here and investigated it. Found that. If I hadn't seen that, boy, that would have been a headache. But the way I fixed it is I got a mirror, and I got up in there with a little dental tool, and I saw that little piece of plastic, and I knocked it out of there, and then lo and behold, it went together. The only other thing I can think of to tell you about putting that wiring harness is to try to get the wires shaped the way it's going to wind up before you start trying to plug it in. That's going to help you quite a bit too.